Today we have what's the climax of what's called the Book of Signs by scholars in John's Gospel, the whole section leading up to the Passion. And we've seen magnificent passages from the Samaritan woman and the man born blind, and this again, as I say, is the climax in John 11, the raising of Lazarus. And there's so much there. You know, it's important to realize that this is like not the ultimate proof, that Jesus is divine, that he raised someone from the dead. He raised also a couple others in the gospel, as you recall. I repeat, Jesus raising anyone from the dead is not a proof he's divine. Not. Why do I say that? Because Elisha, the prophet, and Elijah, the prophet, in the book of Kings, both raised children, raised people from the dead. So it just means that God is, working through you. So that's not what's at stake here. So what's the difference, though? Well, the difference is that this time it's by his own power that God himself has come close to us and is working directly. So when it says in the first reading, I'll send my Spirit to raise you from the grave, and the second reading when it says the Spirit that raised Jesus himself from the dead, will give life to our bodies. Here, Jesus himself is the source of that Spirit and is the source of that life. Is that life. And that's the key to what he says to Martha. That reading, that exchange between Martha and Jesus there in the middle of the gospel is one of the gospels that's used at funerals. And it's the one I always choose at a funeral mass to make a really important point that I'm going to make now also about who Jesus is. So Martha says, I know God will give you whatever you ask. And then Jesus says, your brother will rise again. So I would say he's baiting her by eliciting what turns out to be, a catechism answer. Oh yes, I know my brother will rise at the resurrection on the last day, the Baltimore Catechism, the whole thing. And Jesus says, no, I'm the resurrection. Never mind the last day. I'm the resurrection, standing right here in front of you. I am the life. I don't just give you life, even eternal life. I am the life. And that's pretty startling. So whoever believes in me, even though they die, will live. And the translation is, whoever lives and believes in me will never die. They're both participles, whoever living and believing in me. A good accurate possible translation is, whoever is alive by believing in me will never die. Because that's the real eternal life that can't be lost. That faith in Jesus. Whoever is alive by believing in me, whoever is already living my life, my eternal divine life, can't die. Ever. No matter what physical death there might be. Because they're already living eternal life. My divine eternal life. Already. So we can't die. Physical death is just a parting of the veil. It's just a step into the fullness of life. We let go of the limited life and limited consciousness to allow to appear what we've already been living as our true life already here. And so we need to experience that more deeply. Realize and actually experience that we already have eternal life, and that no matter what happens to us physically, we are already living an eternal life that cannot be lost and cannot be taken from us. That's the wonderful lesson that Jesus gives us, and the wonderful life that Jesus gives us, his very self, and it comes in the Eucharist. It comes every moment. because we're already living his life. And of course, the further dimensions here of the gospel, God is actually with us to give his own life in our humanity. And so he experiences the humanity. He experiences the love for his friends, Martha and Mary and Lazarus, and for all of us. And he's touched, deeply moved, it says twice, deeply moved, perturbed, distressed by the human condition, which he's living himself, which he's sharing, to which he's bringing his divine life by sharing our human life, bringing us right close to each other in one humanity, in one human experience. That's very touching, and he's with us with his divine life. Also in his humanity, he's with us every step of the way in our suffering, in our physical, fragility, in our ultimate death. He's there with us. And he feels it as much as we do. He feels our death. The shortest verse in the whole New Testament is what we just heard. Jesus wept. 2 words. The shortest verse. But one of the richest, right? Jesus wept. Jesus feels it. So you can't say he's up there somewhere giving us his divine life from way up high, aloof from it all. No. He's right there with us in our death to give us his life, which we're already living, as I say. And one final really important dimension of this, obviously Lazarus coming back to life, or the children that Elijah and Elisha raised, or any of that, it's provisional. They're coming back to our physical human life, and they're just going to die all over again, physically. Some people have even suggested that's why Jesus wept, because he had to bring poor Lazarus back into this world. Who would want that? But the real life is given to us because Jesus brings his own death into our death. That's the linchpin. That's how God, in his intimacy with us, brings his life to our life by bringing his death into our death. He dies our death so that we might live his life, going right down into the very depth of death. I'm not going to develop that point now. That's for Good Friday. That's the mystery we're going to contemplate on Good Friday. But that's how Jesus, in fact, effectively brings his life into our life, into this world, by sharing our death and going through it. So that even if we die, we live. But the point I especially want to make today is that we're already living that divine life, and that life cannot be lost. Jesus is sharing his own life with us and breathing his own spirit within us. So, every time I hear the question, do you believe in life after death or an afterlife? I don't believe in an afterlife. I believe in life. It's not an afterlife. It's not an afterthought on God's part, not some vague shadow of this present life with all its vitality and richness. It's the real life, divine, eternal life, infinite life. We're already living. So you don't have to believe in it. Do you believe this? Jesus says. Well, we should be able to say, well, of course I believe it, Lord. I experience it every day. How can I not believe it? I know it. I'm living it. I experience your magnificent divine life in me every day. I'm really alive. And nothing can take that away. Certainly not some silly physical death, momentary passageway to the ultimate life in you forever. So let's make that our effort. Go down into the depths of prayer and the depths of your daily experience even. Really be present and realize, wow, there's a life here that is infinite. And I'm it. I'm sharing it with everybody, with God. That's what the Father said. God became human so that humans might become God, share God's own life. And we're doing it now. So when you hear the question, do you believe in life after death? Say, Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life, and I'm already living it, so what are you talking about? Of course I believe it, I know it. It's my daily experience, it's my moment-by-moment experience. And that really is open to us. It will give us such joy and gratitude and comfort and courage and vitality and hope, which we can share in the world which so needs it.